Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are here for the first time. My name is Bailey and today I'm doing a video that I haven't done before, but I definitely have been wanting to do this because I watch other people's and I enjoy them. So today I'm going to be doing a January and February reading wrap up. So just talking about all the books I read in January and February, what I thought of them, what I rated them, and then if I would recommend them to you guys. So I read 8 books in January and then I read 6 in February. Some of those were audiobooks. I'll talk about which ones were as I go through them. I feel like I definitely have some unpopular opinions because I've had a few different people say to me like, I can't believe you thought this about this book. And I don't know, I feel like maybe I'm just more hypercritical about stuff. I don't know, I think I'm kind of still like learning what kind of books I like. So I'm just gonna go in order of when I read these books. I have my Goodreads pulled up on my phone, so I'm gonna be referencing that. So the first one I read is called The Last Time We Met by Carol Mason. And this was a recommendation that I got from Haley Pham, the YouTuber, but I think I'm sure that after I read it I was like, there's no way that she recommended this. And then I realized that I had the title just a little bit wrong. I don't know what the correct one was, but it's something really similar to that. This book, I gave it 1 star. I just honestly hated it. The ending was terrible. It was honestly just not good. It's not even worth sharing. Don't read it. The next book that I read is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. This was so good. I put this in my thriller recommendations video and it is crazy. I gave it 4 stars and I would probably give it like 4.5 stars. The only reason it wasn't 5 is just I didn't feel like really emotionally in this book. Like I didn't really care that much about the characters, but just the story and like the twist was so shocking, and I feel like it just changes like everything you think you know. And oh man, it was just so good. Like just thinking back to when I read it the first time and when I read the twist, I was so taken aback. If you love thrillers, you need to read that book because it's quick, it's easy, you have no idea what's happening, you don't see it coming, and it was just so good. The next book that I read was Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. I gave this one 3 stars. I listened to the audiobook on the Libby app and I don't know, I just felt like it was so predictable. It's like you think it's going in this certain direction, but the whole time you're reading it, you're like, oh, it can't be that. It can't be what you think it is because there's just no mystery to it, because it's supposed to be like a thriller mystery, I think, but then it ends up being exactly what you think it is and you're just like, there's no mystery, like you kind of know from the beginning. So that was disappointing, but it was still like a pretty good read. Like I still wanted to finish the story. It wasn't like I wanted to confirm that what I thought happened was what happened, but it was still a disappointment because I felt like that book was pretty highly recommended. The next book that I read was One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this was also a huge disappointment for me. I gave it 3 stars. This was my first Taylor Jenkins Reid read and I was just so disappointed because I feel like everyone recommended this book. All of the booktubers I watched, friends that read, love this book, and so I was expecting it to be like amazing, but it just wasn't, and I was so disappointed, and I just felt like there wasn't enough. Like it needed to be longer, especially when you get a little bit of the past at first, and it just felt like a highlight reel. I just needed more from the characters. And then also like how long it takes the girl to choose between the 2 guys is just crazy. Like it's so short and felt rushed, and I don't know, it was definitely a letdown for me. The next book I read is Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. I gave this one 2 stars. I feel kind of bad giving it 2 stars, but it was just super weird. It's the first book that I've ever read that was written in, dang it, what is it called? Written in verse. Written in verse is what it's called. And so that was kind of like why I wanted to read it. When I first like went to the first page, I was like, oh no, this isn't something that I'm gonna like. But I was like, you know, just give it a chance. And it it was super quick. I think it took me like an hour to read, or hour and a half or something like that. And it was just so interesting and weird. And I don't want to read, I read solely for entertainment. I don't want to read to like have to analyze stuff and think deeply about what does this mean, and you know, what does this mean about life, like what can I take from this. I just want to read like for the same reason you watch TV shows, genuinely just for entertainment. And I felt like this is just a book that is meant for you to think about. I think I found this recommendation from a booktuber too, and if you just read for entertainment, I would not recommend this one. The next book I read was Final Girls by Riley Sager. This was also a letdown, and I feel like this is a pattern of books, but then I have a few 5 stars in a row, so don't worry, they're not all terrible. But this one I gave 3 stars, and I think it was just like really boring, honestly, and I kept waiting for more, and it just was super boring, especially like the beginning, the first half, maybe first 60%. It's a mystery. I guess maybe like a thriller, but when I think of thrillers, I think like you're hooked the entire time. You have to know what happens. And this one took me 8 days to read, which that's the longest a thriller has ever taken me to read. It was definitely a letdown because also Riley Sager's like super well known to be a great mystery thriller author, so I was bummed about that. But I'm still looking forward to reading more of his books. Currently reading Lock Every Door by him, and so I'm hoping that that's going to be better. The next book I read in January, and this was also an audiobook, was the first Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone. I'm not really going to talk about these because I feel like these are rereads for me, and also I feel like most people know what they're about, but if you don't, you absolutely should. I am convinced that anyone who hasn't read Harry Potter or hasn't given it a chance, if you give it a try, you will love it, or at least like really enjoy it, because it's just so good and it's just like the best vibes. So anyway, I've only read them one time, and then now I'm listening to them and I'm just really enjoying it. I gave it 5 stars, of course. The last book that I read in January was so good. This one is The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams, and I gave this 5 stars. It was so fun. I loved this read so much. I just love the characters. It's a rom-com about 2 characters who are like secretly in love with each other, best friends to lovers, and they don't know it though, like they don't know that each other loves each other, and you get the girl's perspective and the guy's perspective, and it's just like so good, and I just loved it. Also, it was closed door romance, which I appreciated, and it was just, it's so good. I love that book and I recommend it to everyone now. Okay, transitioning to books I read in February. The first one was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Gave this one 5 stars. Honestly, I'm probably going to end up giving all of the Harry Potter books 5 stars. I won't go into detail about each one, what they're about. Again, you know, just read them yourself if you haven't, because I promise you it's worth it. They're so good, or at least give it a chance. But 5 stars, love Harry Potter, love the vibes, love all of the books, all of the stories are so good. The next one that I read was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Gave this one 5 stars as well. This book was so good. I really enjoyed it, and it did take me a little bit longer. My dates are definitely not right in Goodreads because it says it took me from 2-2 to 2-3. That's not true. It probably took me like around 2 weeks to finish. I just really enjoyed the read, and it wasn't something that I had to like read every second of every day because it's a mystery, but I feel like it gets more into like the thriller, like, ooh, I need to know what happens, around like the 60% mark or so. It's a YA mystery, so I appreciated there was no spice in it, and also there was minimal cursing. That's something to know if you care about that. It was just a good story, and I was taken by surprise by like the twist in it, and I'm excited to read the next ones. I'm on the wait list on the Libby app, or like I have a hold on the books. There's a 2nd and 3rd one. I am so excited to read the next one, so hopefully they're just as good. The next book I read is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban by J.K. Rowling. Gave some 5 stars. So good. Love the story again. The next book that I read is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, and I was very let down by this book. I really expected it to be so good. I thought it was going to be like cheat sheet vibes, but it was just not. Like, I had heard about this book and seen a lot of my friends read it on Goodreads and had seen a lot of booktubers who had read it last year, and so I was like, you know, I'll give it a try, see if I like it. I was just so disappointed in this book. I felt like the character development was just non-existent. The premise of the book was interesting. It's a rom-com, and it's basically this girl who is like a bodyguard, but not the traditional sense of the word bodyguard. And she has an assignment to be the bodyguard for this really famous guy. They end up having to fake date. And so you hear all of these things, like these like cute rom-com tropes, and you're like, that's gotta be so good. But I just felt like it fell so flat for me. Did I say how many stars I gave it? It took me 10 days to read it, and I gave it 2 stars. But I don't know, the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, maybe 1.5 stars. Again, just my opinion. I just didn't enjoy it. I felt like the characters fell really flat. The ending was weird. Like, there's a weird like thriller vibe part, and I was like, whoa, what is this? And then it just felt so random. And also, like, the main character girl, she's like got these little things about her that are like quirky, but it just felt try hard to me. And also the guy, he would just like laugh at these things about her that were just so unfunny. Like, I know it's hard to make someone laugh when you're reading a book. Like, I hardly ever laugh when I'm reading, even if I think in my mind like, oh yeah, that's funny, but you're not gonna actually laugh. So I'm not expecting that or like trying to laugh while reading this, but it was just so incredibly unfunny. I was like, there's no way anyone in real life would think that was funny. After saying that, I feel bad because I know that this author worked hard on her book, and I'm sure she's proud of her work, but again, just not my cup of tea. The next book that I read this was partially in January, and then I finished it in February because it took me kind of a long time, even though it's a small book, was The Treasure Principle by Randy Alcorn. This book was given to me by my friend. I borrowed it from her to read, and it was just like a little tiny book, like small, and had 100-ish pages. This was a like Christian nonfiction book. I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads, but it feels weird to give it star ratings because I feel like I don't have like a standard to compare it to. Honestly, that feels true for all nonfiction books, but I really liked it, and I thought it was great, and it's definitely something I'll carry with me. It's just about what the treasure principle is. So it's about, like, in the Bible it talks about storing up your treasures in heaven, and he talks about how to do that, and how the treasure principle itself is you can't take it with you, you can send it ahead. So like, you can't take your money and your belongings and your time and all of these things that we have on earth, you can't take them with you. He mainly focuses on money. You can't take it with you beyond the grave, but you can send it ahead. So it's like you can use the resources you have on earth to store up those treasures in heaven. So it was really good. It's about just like radical giving, and I felt very challenged by it. And the last book that I read in February was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This is the 4th book, and again, so good. It was crazy because this audiobook was like 20 hours or something like that, and I had to listen to it on 0.9 speed because I wanted to like get every detail, and I couldn't do that with having it on the 1-time speed because it was just slightly too fast for me, and so it took a long time to listen to, but I just have been loving that because I just listen like anytime I'm in the car, I listen to it at the gym, and I listen to it like in the shower. I just set up my phone and play it and then listen to it, and it's just the best vibes. I love the Hogwarts vibes, love the Hogsmeade Harry Potter vibes. I'm just obsessed. So I will probably be finishing those pretty soon, which is so sad, but I just love them so much. So that is all the books that I read in January and February. Currently reading Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, and also the 5th Harry Potter book. So let me know if you have any book recommendations. I feel like I still have so many books I want to read, especially like on the Libby app. I made a list, I don't know what it's called, like a tag, and tagged all of my TBR books, and there's like 40 something that are on the Libby app. So I'm hoping that some of those will become available soon, the ones that I have holds on, because I can only have up to 10 holds at a time. But anyway, hopefully you get some book recommendations from this video, or either you are discouraged to read certain books and not waste your time. But again, I have my personal preferences and maybe they're a little bit harsher than other people's. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Go ahead and subscribe if you aren't already and give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'm so thankful for you being here and I can't wait to see you guys next time. Bye!